Hi, I'm Dave Savage. I'm an emergency physician here in Thunder Bay and a graduate of NOSM. My co-authors are Arnhem Garg and Vijay Mago, both at Lakehead University in the Department of Computer Science. My other co-author is Roger Strasser, former dean. The title of my talk today is Family Physicians in Ontario, Assessing the Who, What, and Where using the OHIP Billing Database. The only disclosure I'd like to make is that this project was funded by NOAMA. I have no other commercial interests. I'd like to thank NOAMA for funding this project through their CIOF program. One of the greatest challenges facing our healthcare system is finding the right physician to work in the right place at the right time with the right training. This is part of our health human resource planning problem. We know that physicians certified by the College of Family Physicians of Canada, or CFPC, work in a variety of settings and provide many services across Ontario. These physicians work in clinics, hospitals, emergency departments, and many other settings. They provide services such as mental health care and palliative care. We know that typically rural physicians will provide more services and work in more settings than their urban counterparts. Understanding where physicians work and what services they provide is essential to health human resource planning. The three main research questions for this study are: what does the population of CFPC certified physicians look like? What services, settings, or activities do these physicians provide? Where do family physicians practice and what services do they provide? For this study, we're working with the Institute for Clinical Evaluative Sciences, also known as ICES. We're using their IDAVE system, and they've provided us with access to the Ontario Health Insurance Plan database, or OHIP billing database, which has approximately 90 million records for all billings for all physicians across Ontario for the year 2017. ICES has also provided us access to their physician database. This has approximately 30,000 physicians in total, which provides data on their certification and demographics. Using this data, we've selected a set of Sentinel billing codes which represent the different services or settings that the physicians are providing. We've taken these Sentinel codes and data mined the OHIP billing database and figured out which physicians are working in which settings and providing which services. The services and settings selected for the analysis in this study were selected based on two criteria. Could a physician have a focused practice offering this service? Two examples would be emergency medicine and mental health care. The second criteria: does the service occur in a unique setting? Chemotherapy administration and endoscopy are two services that meet this criteria as well. Family physicians provide many other services, including vaccinations, well baby visits, and prenatal care. However, these services occur in a clinic setting and would therefore fall under a clinic service heading. This is a list of the settings and services that were selected for the analysis. I'll give you a moment to review the list. Using the ICES physician database, we can see that there's approximately 14,600 CFPC certified physicians in Ontario. We used the OHIP billing specialty code, their certification, or their billings to identify these physicians within the database. We can also see from the plot that the majority of CFPC certified physicians in Ontario work in an urban setting, approximately 12,800, with a very small proportion, only about 12 or 1,300, working in a rural setting. This plot is showing the rurality index of Ontario and the distribution of these physicians. The Rio Score is a measure of how rural a particular location in Ontario is. This plot is a histogram of the different settings and how many physicians are working in those settings. As you'll notice, almost 90% of the physicians are working in a clinic setting, about 70% are providing mental health services, as well 50% are working in the emergency department. This frequency diagram shows the number of services provided by physicians across Ontario. You'll note that a very few physicians provide a single service, about 13 or 14% provide two services, with a maximum number of 25 or 26% providing 3 to 4 services. Of note, one physician provides 11 services in total. This histogram shows, for the small number of physicians providing only a single service, that about 6% of them work in a clinic, about 3.5% work in an emergency medicine department, and about 1.5% provide mental health services. In this frequency plot, we can see that there's 2 services being provided by these physicians. The most common 2 services being provided is working in a clinic and providing mental health care, which is done by almost 16% of physicians. The second most common being working in a clinic and providing emergency medicine services, and this is about 6% of family physicians. This flowchart is an example of the linkages between physicians working in 1 setting, 2 settings, and 3 settings. At the highest level, there's approximately 900 physicians working in the clinic only. At the second level, we have about 2,200 physicians working in both the clinic and providing mental health services, as well 800 physicians working in the clinic and providing emergency medicine services. At the third level, beneath the clinic and mental health, we see the addition of emergency medicine, palliative care, and surgical assisting. If we sum the number of physicians, or the frequency at which they're working at these different levels, we can see at the first level about 6% are working, about 21% at the second level, and 17% at the third level. This represents a total of 44% of physicians working in approximately 6 different settings or providing these unique set of services. We're still in the early stages of the analysis of where these physicians are working, but what we've done is we've divided the physician groupings between urban and rural physicians. You can see that for clinic, mental health, and emergency medicine, urban and rural physicians work in these settings with a fairly equal proportion. However, once you move to, say, palliative care, hospitalist medicine, long-term care, anesthesia, or endoscopy, the CFPC certified physicians in rural centers are working in these settings with a much greater proportion than their urban colleagues. This frequency plot again shows the number of services provided by CFPC certified physicians across Ontario. This time we've divided amongst urban and rural settings. You'll notice that the urban physicians are typically working in fewer settings than the rural physicians. The next step in the study is to continue the analysis of the services and settings in which physicians are working along the urban-rural spectrum. Using administrative data to examine the services and settings in which physicians are working has some potential limitations. For example, a family physician who provides mental health care may not always bill the mental health codes. As well, physicians who work in either capitation models or salaried positions may not provide regular billings or billings at all to the government. From this analysis, we can draw several conclusions. The first being that the OHIP billing database can be used to investigate the services and settings in which family physicians work across Ontario. This analysis also provides insight into the services that family physicians are providing, especially amongst urban and rural settings. Rural physicians are providing palliative care, hospital medicine, long-term care, obstetrics, and endoscopy more often than their urban colleagues. As well, rural physicians are providing more services and settings in general than their urban colleagues. This analysis can also be used to guide resident physician curriculum. If we know what services and settings our rural and urban physicians are going to be working in, curriculums can be developed to provide better training for those areas. These results can also be used as inputs in health human resource planning and to develop better models for future predictions. Thanks for listening to my presentation. If you have any questions or would like to further discuss the results or any of the issues or topics that I've mentioned, please email me at dsavage@nosm.ca. Thanks a lot.